Hello and welcome to Advertisers Watching Ads. My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and this is a weekly show where brands watch other brands' ads and discuss what's good and bad about them. This week, we are brought to you as ever by Contagious.com. So those guys helped us find the ad this week. But before we get to that ad, let's meet this week's one and only special guest.
Hello, everybody. I am Jasper Martens and I am the CMO at PensionBee.
Well, thanks for joining us today. Let's get on and see this week's ad.
Sports sponsorship has gotten out of control. And there's no sport more guilty than the Australian Big Bash League. So to stand out, we had to do something pretty crazy. Hide our logo. Introducing Pitvertising.
Now guess where the antiperspirant deodorant brand Rexona is going to put its logo.
Nice, good idea, okay.
Presumably when the umpire puts his hand up for a dismissal, you'll see the Rexona in the armpit. When there's a 6, you'll see 2 Rexonas. Oh, it's ingenious.
Rexona is supporting the BBL umpires in a world first by sponsoring their hits.
What I love about this as well is when they do the wax on, wax off, the Rexona sign is just camped underneath the armpit. Spot on, Rexona. Good job. Good marketing.
So they've signed a deal. The umpires will have a Rexona logo.
What? 1 billion? Right, that's 11.7 wickets and 23 sixes per match, multiplied by 61 matches, multiplied by viewership. Yep, that's $1 billion. 1.3 to be precise.
It's being called Pitvertising.
And Pitvertising is set to spread beyond cricket, with plans for other sports to adopt similar sponsorship models. That's how, in the most heavily branded game in the world, Rexona sniffed out a whole new media space and found a fresh way to get noticed.
It's now customary to give the ad a vote out of 5. 1, 2, 3. A 5. Fantastic.
Sorry.
So Rexona's fresh take on advertising in Australia has been hailed as a game changer. They've put their logo on armpits. A more subtle point about the sponsorship is earning a huge amount of views, the most dramatic moments of the game. A move that was a roaring success in the industry. What do you think of this? Do you think this was a good execution, good sponsorship, good creative?
Look, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, right? In this particular case, I guess they're trying to reach as many eligible consumers if they possibly can. And there's so much you can do for your more traditional advertising. Sports sponsorships in particular can drive, you reach tremendous amount of consumers or your target audience. But I think they've got a problem. We've had a similar issue where you are trying to maximize reach and there are so many sponsorships around. That market is so saturated and there are logos everywhere. So I think what they've done brilliantly is like they're combining, I would say, their quest for reach at a very crucial moment in time when the cameras are pointing in this particular part of the game, when the arms are raised. And guess what? They have a deodorant for that. That's the best place where you want to put a logo if you are Rexona. And also, don't forget, people start talking about this. So you've got this awareness, which is almost a really upper funnel awareness piece. And guess what? Commentators start picking on it. So your press mentions are going through the roof. You are creating these extra brand touches, geniusly talking about Pitvertising, #Pitvertising. And you know what? In this particular case, if I was Rexona, I would love my brand to be soaked in sweat.
Isn't it just a bit toilet humor? It's armpit. It's a joke. Is that the brand they are? My sort of consumer estimation is that it's about sort of control and being confident that you don't smell bad at the wrong time. It's about sport and achievement and power and strength and all that kind of stuff.
Generally, it's quite it's a deodorant. And I think you then need to go for reach. It's the maximizing the exposure. And just, again, what they're doing, like you can't, like I agree, you can't put your whole value proposition on a shirt under somebody's armpit. You just can put a logo there. And I think if you are a brand with a very broad target audience and you're just maximizing reach at the cheapest possible price, this kind of advertising works.
A year ago, Sure trials the world's first deodorant for people with disabilities. So, and Unilever are a business that have very much put their purpose. And there was even a point that they're going to get rid of brands that didn't have a purpose. You know, if anyone has led the trend in purpose-based advertising, it's Unilever. And they seem to have executed that really well in a lot of cases. Whereas this is like, it still feels a bit silly to me. It there's no purpose here. It's like, well, we've got loads of views because we stuck it in someone's armpit. Is the next thing going to be in someone's crotch? Like, you know, where does it end? Over someone's bum? Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good idea. I hear you. It's a bit flat, isn't it? It's just the quest for reach, and there's nothing more behind it. But I think if you end up making a decision to go into sports advertising because you want to maximize reach, I think this is a clever thing to do. Whether you're going into sport advertising like this, maybe that is another discussion, but I'm just purely looking at like, okay, so at Unilever, you're responsible for Rexona. You have decided that sports advertising or sponsoring is a really good way to maximize reach. Your logo is going to get lost in the world of sport advertising. Let me tell you why I am so kind of like black and white on this one. So we do also advertise in English football, Premier League. And any brand or any CMO or any marketeer who's been engaging in that world knows how expensive that can be. So a shirt sponsoring, you're talking about millions. Sleeve sponsoring as well. Anything it comes at a price. Our brand isn't Unilever. Our brand isn't like Kazoo or any other big brand that can actually afford to do a shirt sponsor deal. So we decided to go clever. And in our case, we are sponsoring at Brentford, but also we are sponsoring the extra time. So we can you can show 30 seconds on an LED screen during a home game. Fine. It comes at a price. I probably can afford that. But for the kind of same amount of money, you can also decide I'm only sponsoring extra time. So I'm the only person who's actually interested in when there's an injury because there will be extra time, right? But the beauty of that is that it's different. So for that 2 minutes extra time, suddenly the whole stadium goes yellow and you get the PensionBee advertising. So I get the exposure I want. Now, if you then zoom back to Rexona, they could have done something like that, probably. But they thought, actually, we are a deodorant brand. And there's a crucial point in the time. So in my case, it's the extra time. In their case, it's a particular point in the sports itself when the armpits go up, right? And that's where they decided to plant their logo because everybody will see it. Now, you can argue that's a bit cheap and a bit simple. But if you are going into sports in sponsorships and sports marketing, you have to be clever. Don't just buy off the shelf because it's going to be expensive and you're not getting the reach you want anyway. If you're going to follow that through, wouldn't it make more sense to have something around the end of the match? You know, you're finishing, you've played football and now it's time to hit the showers. It's time to freshen up. Whereas like, it's not an occasion that someone goes like 6 or 4. It just happens to show someone's armpit, which is why I feel it's a yes, definitely reach. Yes, definitely PR. But as that subsides, where is the long-term brand building value of having your logo in someone's armpit? Yeah, I agree. What, for example, they could have done is before the game starts, some sort of like exposure or ads that says like, you know, we have Rexona. We are prepared to face this game because Rexona, you know, if that's your like protects you, blah, blah, blah. They could have done that too. I totally agree. But then again, sports bodies are as flexible as hard shoulders. They are not. And sometimes you just have to work with the flexibility that's given. And I guess this was one of the clever ways to do it. But in order to alter a game, like, you know, in America, in order to alter the game, sometimes there's not a lot of flexibility. I have recently engaged with some other sports bodies for some other opportunities, and it's just no. And they just turned out quite a nice cash offer, like a sponsorship deal. So sometimes as an advertiser, you are limited. Like they know they've got the numbers, they know they got the reach. And as an advertiser, sometimes you have to wobble yourself into kind of like a mold of like what is possible. So in that sense, you have to sometimes work with what's given. And I think they've made the best of it. Well done, Rexona. Fantastic bit of work. And we'll see you all next week.